Hello everybody, this is Sci-Fi Junket again on this lovely, wonderful Monday afternoon. And I thought, why not do a story time video-ish thing today? And so I'm going to tell the story of how I ended up being a freelance IT guy for the housing authority that I currently live in, and how I ended up losing it. Yeah. Anyway, so to give some context of this housing authority and how I ended up getting uh, IT work from them to begin with, was the fact that I used to work for this lovely, wonderful housing authority as a maintenance guy, not having a freaking clue what to do maintenance wise. It was almost a year. I almost worked here a year as maintenance, and then I went and said I'm going to go ahead and go back to school. And well, so since I said that, roughly 6 months in, I was denied the standard package of health insurance and all sorts of other stuff that everybody else has worked here longer. Yeah, just because I said I was going to go ahead and go back to school. Anyway, so it was almost a year, and then I go back to school. I bounced between three schools: OSU, Institute of Technology, Kaplan University, and Southern New Hampshire University. No, Southern New Hampshire University and Kaplan University. They're online classes, and Oklahoma State University of Oklahoma State University of Information Technology. Yeah, something like that. OSUIT is what I was calling. Anyway, that one is actually an on-campus thing where you go to classes and everything else. Yeah. By the way, I wouldn't recommend going to college unless you actually have your own money and not. The way I had to do it was with student loans and be $70,000 in a hole. But anyway, finally get my degree, even though it's an associate's, because of bachelor's, the funding for colleges when it comes to federal stuff got stunted right when I was getting my bachelor's, so I had to downgrade it. Anyway, so I get my associates, I come back, I freaking have no clue who I want to work for, anything like that. I think it was roughly, I think it was a couple months after that, the housing authority here needed help with mowing lawns, because for a while there, they were getting overrun, so they decided to go ahead. They know that I would be willing to do it. Well, one day they saw me change colors because it was hot that day and I didn't have hardly anything to drink. I was told never to do that again. And then one day I get asked, I think it was a couple weeks after that, just one day out of the blue, I get asked if I can put a website together for them. And I go, yeah, sure. It's not going to be a big deal for me. I mean, it's just standard code for me. I just need to know basically how you want it to be put together. And they just basically just said, text, links, pictures, basically. And then we talked about, server, because I told them it's going to have to be put on a server. And that ED at the time really didn't like spending money, so I figured, well, I've been playing with this little guy right here, so why don't we just go ahead and put it on a Raspberry Pi? It doesn't take that much power. Takes SD cards, and everything's pretty much put together. You just plug it in, load stuff up, and then go. And later on, you'll find out that I tried to get it to where they're full-fledged servers, which is probably one of the reasons why Anyway, later on, I think it was roughly 6 months after that, he gets told by HUD that since they have a website, that they need to put the stuff for the Board of Commissioners in there. Days of the meetings, the agenda. It's like, okay, sure. And so that's what I've been doing. And then I think it was a little bit after that, they wanted a web page for what the tenants here need to know, and when it comes to after hours emergencies and what qualifies and stuff. So I put that on there. And then I think it was sometime after that. So I'm just maintaining the website the best I can with the agenda always needing to be updated every month. And then for the last 4 or 5 years, actually 4 years, because it didn't get updated this year because, hey, they decided to go and pull the plug on it. Anyway, the last 4 years actually updating the days off and when the meeting is going to happen. Now, sometime after that, they wanted to have, I think that's when they wanted to have deal with pop-ups and everything. Of course, I've been working with making or using Pi-hole. So I set a squid server up that just, got them to go ahead and get another one, Pi 2, because the web servers in Pi 1 actually has the freaking normal standard SD card. So I set a Pi 2 up with a Pi-hole and squid proxy. Yeah. And then he complained about, not being able to get to some of the websites that he goes to. So I turned the lovely, wonderful ad stuff. I actually had to just turn it off. And then they never said anything about an ad thing again. So I guess it kind of fixed it, but not quite. But anyway. Or it's either that or squid kept on catching it, one of the two. But so that's that. And then they wanted, later on after that, they wanted to have a on-site backup because the ED was taking backups. I think it was like once a week or once every day, or either once a week or every other day or something like that along the week, that he would make a backup and take it home. I personally didn't think that was a good idea, and so I told him to go ahead and get another one of these guys, and I put Open Media Vault on it for the file server. That was pretty good. And then he wanted to, because they use a software, I guess I don't know if every other housing authority uses software, but they use this the housing authority I live in uses software to where they do rent and take payments and make work orders and all that stuff. Now, I'm not sure if I could say the name of it, so I'm not going to talk about the name of it or anything like that. But they wanted to make it where all three, because I actually have 3 laptops. Actually, I have 4, but they wanted to make where all the ones that were working, all 3 of them had it running. So I would use a software called SyncThing, where it would, if you could share folders to whoever and it'd be encrypted and all this other stuff. Open source. I was trying to find all the open source freaking things I could ever find in the world that had stuff going on. So yeah, I actually had it set up, and they were all sharing the same freaking software. And then it became a mess because they thought that they could have more than one instance turned on. I kept on repeatedly telling them, no, you can only have one person at a time to use the freaking database. Yeah, that created a number of problems. But then again, I was working with software I had no freaking clue how it worked. So yeah. Anyway, later on down the road, the ED starts doing his thing about trying to, actually I think it's well before that, starts trying to set up his retirement stuff, so he can just up and go. And he was a pretty good guy. Sometimes he drove me up the wall. Sometimes he scared the crap out of me sometimes. But he starts with, because they have Erlob, which I'm guessing is the only company that can do anything here in Oklahoma relating to being a CPA when it comes to, housing authorities and all. Which is where part of this software that the housing authority wanted to have all 3 laptops to have on at once goes to part of them. Well, yeah, their website is still, as far as I can tell, still not working. So let me go ahead and see if I could bring that up. But last time I checked, it was still crapping out and everything. And I'll explain how I kind of got them chilling and everything later, and then they decided to ridicule me after that. But yeah, so sometime after that, it was roughly, I believe it was October, maybe the beginning part of November, when I was told by the ED at the time that the board wanted me to give the housing authority usernames, passwords, and everything relating to the servers. Now, luckily, it was before November's meeting. So I went to the board in November of 2019 and attempted to tell them, this is what I've been doing, this is what I think needs to happen, and thinking, yeah, maybe this will tell them to, chill out and let me do my job that I've been trying to do for the last 5 years. No. It just made things worse. It literally made things worse. Because I think it was that day, because I told them what I think needs to happen and everything. I got told that I needed to, because that's when I started pushing for full servers, because the way power works or electricity works in Wetumpka is it would brown out. Every now and then it would brown out. Now, before our former mayor started his thing and causing problems and all that, it would literally go out. Literally just go out. It'd be every couple months, or maybe it was to the point where if a squirrel was on the line farting on the pole, it would go out. It's been a little bit better since then, but it still browns out every now and then. But the problem with these little guys right here is if there's a brownout, or if the power just goes in and out real fast, it screws up with the SD card. It starts starts corrupting the SD card. It got to the point where I had to reset these servers. Because now this is not their server, this is my personal Raspberry Pi. But I would actually have to reset their servers. I think there was 3 times in total altogether. Completely reset them, start them from scratch, load up Raspbian, reset everything up, and then put them back in, and there you go. Now, I was trying to convince the board that we needed to have full-fledged servers because of that. I was asked, I think it was November, I was asked to go ahead and come up with a parts list. A couple months before that, I've been trying to push a part list of what I need to build these servers. I was trying to keep it as minimum as possible while leaving room to upgrade later. $500 for the most part. Bring it up in December. They're still thinking about in December. They have no freaking clue what's going on. Matter of fact, they even call an executive session because of some lawsuit that's going on between housing authorities and HUD, which is always fun. Which is also, also wonderful to know that the housing authority you're living in actually has a lawsuit against HUD, the very people that actually are giving them money. Yeah, it's really fun. Anyway, so in come to find out, because when they called an executive session, I just went ahead and went home. Because as you guys very well know, or if you've kept up with anything I've done, know that I'm a full-time caregiver. I can't just wait for them to decide what they're going to do in a freaking session that nobody but them can go through. So I went home. Come to find out, they tabled what I've been telling them about, because they in November, after that meeting, they said that what I put together was a presentation, which it was not a presentation, because if it was a presentation, I'd actually have PowerPoints and everything else along somewhere. They said what I did in December was a presentation. It wasn't a presentation, it was what they asked for. And January rolls around, January 9th, 2020. 2 of the board members couldn't show up. The now current executive director, which at that time he was kind of get training to be an executive director because he's head of maintenance. He wasn't able to make it. And when you only have 3 board members out of 5, you can instantly figure out how this is going to go. Things move real fast. Yeah, especially when it's the vice chair is saying stuff has to go and this and everything else and blah, blah, blah. When I say about this has to go, that means my work has to go. The website has to go because it's not required by HUD. And which is true. Website's not required by HUD. But when the housing authority has a website and all of a sudden it just goes up like that, people kind of wonder. Because I even made it where they can even download the application. Now, the funny thing is, while they're all voting about shutting it all down, I was actually pulled out my lovely phone. This is the phone I actually had. As you can very well see, it's kind of crunched up and everything. But I pulled it out during this meeting as they were voting to go ahead and kill it off. Updating it to, because it has Raspbian inlets. So you just, I do the apt update and apt install instead of apt get. I just use apt because it's pretty much the same thing. I just prefer apt because it actually has the status bar at the bottom, not because it's colorful. Anyway, so I'm actually updating all 3 of these servers during this meeting where they're voting it to be closed off. All right. So the first thing they do is they vote. Actually, I think it's the third thing that they voted to get rid of my website. I should say their website that I've been putting 5 years worth of work in. Going on 6. Yeah, that's fun. And so I go ahead the next day, because before that I actually updated the agenda, Board of Commissioners agenda for that month. Matter of fact, I even had to email HUD about that to figure out if what they're doing is right or not, because I was trying to keep them legal. HUD sided with me. Needless to say, it was that's probably what made it where the board decided that I needed to go, because again, I think it was roughly 6 months after it was up, HUD said that the agenda and everything relating to the Board of Commissioners had to be updated within 24 hours. So I'm almost sure that's the reason why the website got put down. Anyway, so I go ahead the next day, January 10th, I go ahead and go up there to get my check, because I managed to get it all done within an hour. And lo and behold, they have a lovely, wonderful problem again for me to fix. Now, I'm not sure if it's for this company has everybody in Wetumpka, or everybody in Oklahoma going through them when it comes to HUD funding issues and stuff like that for like CPA things. But they were having problems going to this lovely website, because I think it was a couple months after that, or a couple months before that, they were going ahead and use their new cloud service stuff. And oddly enough, it wouldn't let them log in. So I turned, the proxy server off. I turned all the stuff off that I had done, and it just wouldn't work. So they decide, the ED at the time decided for me to go ahead and talk to this lovely, wonderful IT department for this Erlaw place. Now, I did a rant video either last week or the week before last about how their website is pretty much down. Matter of fact, as I'm making this video, I'm actually looking at their website, and it's still pretty much down. Yeah. Anyway, but the administrative assistant had been trying to go to this website, and the night of the meeting, they go, "Oh, they're having problems with this website in here." This is the first time I ever got told about it. Yeah. So when I go in on the 10th, they're asking me what I could do, so I'm doing all sorts of stuff, turning stuff off. They go, "Well, it's got to be on their end," and they straight up said, "Well, according to them, it's up, blah blah blah." So they finally convinced me to talk to their IT department, and I could actually start understanding why the ED and the administrative assistant is having problems with this CPA stuff. Because they treat you like crap, even though they say that they're wanting to give you what you deserve. And I don't think anybody in the world deserves to be treated like crap when they're actually saying, this crap doesn't work. Your website is not up. So I do it because he said something about doing a trace route, and as I'm typing in the freaking trace route command. And when it gets to just before their hosting service, it dies. It says it cannot reach it. It'll ping the freaking hosting service, and then it just dies the rest of the way. And it's like, okay. Well, I'll go ahead and yeah, because I can ping it. I do the ping, I do the trace route and everything, and all of a sudden their IT guy. Now this is the head IT guy. Their department head for IT. It's like instantly, okay. So he's instantly taking me seriously now since I'm doing the whole trace route and ping and stuff. Now, I go ahead and make an invoice that I pull the plug for the web server, and I determined what the problem was for their lovely, wonderful IT problem for Erlo. Yeah, thinking that's the last thing I'm gonna get anywhere for. Now, no. The month after that, I believe it was a month after that. Maybe it actually. I don't know. It might have been maybe the end of the month, maybe the end of January. It was pretty close to the end of the January, beginning of February, that they called me up for more IT work, which I was kind of surprised about, considering that my lovely, wonderful website that I put together and been trying to maintain for the last 5 years got pulled because a vice chair said it had to go and treated it like it was some sort of disease that was keeping the housing authority from being able to get any customers or anything like that. And in my personal opinion, it did the exact opposite, because it actually had the website that the administrative assistant kept on forgetting, but instantly remembered that that's where the application was. I think she pretty much just forgot about it because her being busy trying to do stuff that's not in her job description, because the person that's supposed to do that is, anyway, it's a whole different video, and I'm not even going to get into that. If I even, I don't even think I'll even make a video about that anyway. So it's just wonderful fun times around this lovely housing authority. But anyway, dang, I forgot what I was going to say. But anyway, it got pulled. Oh, strike that. No, I remember now. There, he was having the current ED now is having problems with his printer, and for whatever freaking reason, I went ahead and it was doing the same thing it was having last go around, and they had to. That was one of the reasons. It was one of the things that I think it was doing the same thing as it did before, where all it will do is install itself as a flash drive, because it's one of those printers where you can actually stick a flash drive in and you can read directly from the printer into the computer and be done with it. So that's all I was doing. Anyway, I told them I couldn't really fix it or anything like that. It's a problem that they need to get with Lowe's and get to fix that way. So they turn around and says, well, can you go ahead and get it to where it'll print to use the other printer? So I go ahead and, since I was able to fix, potentially, just patch it, I went ahead and sent an invoice on that because I kind of made it where you could print to a different printer, even though it's not fixing the problem. It's pretty much just a patch. And I go, well, you need to get with Lowe's to make it where this printer will cooperate with this laptop, because whatever it is, this laptop and this printer is having problems. Again. Now, I get called, I think, a week after that about the proxy server, I should say the remaining servers that are actually still on, and it's Erlob at the office wanting to know what they are. Now, this is where the real fun begins, where I'm kind of scratching my head on wondering how in the world this department head became a department head for a CPA at all, other than the fact that he's the son of the company. Okay, I get up to the office. Now, mind you, I pretty much already essentially got fired the minute the website got pulled, because I'm not up there doing maintenance or anything, like, because I would actually set aside some time every other month to update packages and everything like that. So I'm not doing any maintenance on their servers because there's not a problem. But it's inevitable because nothing's being maintained. So as I go up there to talk, not knowing that I'm going to be actually talking to the lovely department head of Herlob, or the IT department head, he wants to know what the proxy server is for. And I go, it's doing standard proxy server stuff. It's, caching and everything. He proceeds to tell me, oh, well, our website doesn't support that. It's kind of funny because I can go ahead and come up here and show it's not secure. So how do I know that their stuff is even secure on their end? Because, hey, it's not coming up as secure on my end. But anyway, so I go ahead and tell him about that, and he goes, well, what are the other ones? And I go, well, the other one of them happens to be a web server. And my mind gets blown when he goes, oh, well, I don't know anything about that. And I'm going, I'm actually thinking to myself, are you fucking serious? You have no clue about what a website, a web server does. It serves web pages. Because even the administrative assistant was trying to explain to him, yeah, we actually had a website. It's like going in one ear and out the other. And then I go, oh, and then the other one happens to be a file server with the use of Open Media Vault. He has no fucking clue what I'm talking about. It's like it goes in one ear and out the other. He calls it a Samba server, which, no. The Samba service is on, but that's not what it had. That's not what it was. Open Media Vault is way better than just an ordinary Samba server. But he didn't get it. He is like, what are you talking about? I literally got what are you talking about? Look from a department head that's a head of IT. It's like, oh, God, you gotta be kidding me. Anyway, after that, I literally get ridiculed by this department head that has no clue what a web server is, that has no clue what any open source software is, and then proceeds to tell me, not only does he ridicule me, but he proceeds to tell me that, oh, that's on the workstation end, and each workstation have their own little doodads and all stuff. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? You don't even have any foggiest idea of what I was asked to do and how to make it work. I was using open source stuff. And yet, all the open source stuff that I actually had, Think Thing had enterprise. Actually, it had, I think it had 256-bit encryption end to end when it comes to sharing files. Uh, the Open Media Vault Samba stuff, it was internal only. The proxy server was set up to where it would block ads and everything, so I wouldn't have to worry about him complaining about pop-ups showing up. And then later down, have turn it completely off and make it where it just goes straight to the Squid server. It's like, are you freaking kidding me? But like I said, that's pretty much my story of beginning to end of working 5 years as a freelance IT guy. Actually, I was literally a department head here at the Housing Authority on the IT part, and the vice chair, because I wanted to go ahead and do things the legal way, decided that I had to go. Now, it's only going to be a matter of time before the Housing Authority itself realizes that if there's a lovely, wonderful data breach, because they're actually using the cloud service with this lovely, wonderful CPA for some of their stuff. That means if there's a data breach with this CPA service, which I'm not going to go to actual specifics on the title other than calling it RLOB because that's part of it. If there's a data breach on their end, it's going to go back to the Housing Authority, and they can't blame anybody other than RLOB for the data breach. See, when I was actually the department head, they could actually, HUD would actually go ahead and go to the ED, and then the ED could say, hey, what the semic are you doing? Did you know this was a problem? And then I can look it up and then tell them what I found out and take the blame for it. But they can't do that now. They can't do that because there's no one manning the computers, maintaining the computers, or anything like that. Anyway, holy crap, I didn't even realize this was going to be a fairly long video for story time. But as you can very well see, there's a lot of stuff that I was trying to put as much stuff in there as I possibly could. And not to ramble on too much, but I do think I'm going to go ahead and put this on maybe Patreon and Subscribestar as a free thing, and then put it on YouTube. And then I still have plans on doing like what I'm going to call the caregiver's journal. Would be more of a Patreon and Subscribestar only thing, where if you subscribe to them, then you'll be able to see it. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to. Sort of like what Barnacules does with his, except for it's going to be for me on mine about caregiver stuff and what I deal with on a more personal level. Anyway, so don't have too much fun, or at least try not to, and so don't have too much fun.